guys, this is Echo Sours with another tutorial for ADSR and MassiveSynths.com. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel and you want to do that to stay current with all the tutorials we're putting out, you can do that at youtube.com/ADSR tuts. So that was a quick little demo of the key sound we'll be making today in Massive. And I wanted to share it with you for a couple reasons. One, it's kind of hard to emulate keys in Massive. Two, this type of sound goes together with a lot of different genres. So what I just played is pretty poppy sounding, but you could easily use this in EDM, even like a hip hop type thing, like if you arpeggiate it. So I mean, it's a pretty versatile sound. You can easily and quickly turn it into a pluck by just applying some envelope modulation to it. So let's jump right in on how to create it. This right here is just a bass I have in there just to fill it out. So, but I'm going to mute this, and I have a new instance in Massive already pulled up. I'm going to turn it down because it's a really annoying sound at the moment. All right, so the first thing we're going to want to do is in Oscillator 1, I'm going to select kind of a interesting, pretty digital sounding waveform. I'm going to select the Grn II, so it's in this analog electric section. And for the pitch, you're going to leave that at 0, and you're going to leave it on spectrum for the type of wavetable that it is. But you're going to turn this wavetable position all the way down, and you're going to keep the intensity in the amp all the way up, and keep this slider in the middle. So that's the sound that we have now. And then in Oscillator 2, I'm actually going to use the gentle speech waveform. And for this, again, I'm just going to leave this at 0 for the pitch, but I'm going to keep this wavetable position all the way up. I'm just going to turn the intensity down because it's if you keep the intensity all the way up on the speech, it overpowers the wavetable we use in Oscillator 1. All right, and you can leave the amp where it is. And now in Oscillator 3, I'm going to activate that, and I'm going to select the Digi II, which is down here in this digital hybrid. And this is a kind of a cool waveform. I'll turn these off so you can hear it. It's got kind of a cool buzz. So I'm using this to kind of get some more of an open sound to it. So I'm going to turn down the wavetable position. And it kind of has an organ-esque sound going already. And I'm going to just bring these other oscillators back in. So that is the bulk of the actual sound. So in the noise oscillator, I'm going to add some bright noise just to kind of fill out the top end. Okay, and a very important step in this sound is actually the insert 1 effect we'll be using, which we're going to be using this frequency shifter. And you can get some really crazy results with this. So you can see that it's kind of taming the sound. So we're going to use this to kind of tame some of the low end and high end content. So the dry wet, you're going to have just under about 50%, and the pitch you're going to turn up a little. So I went slow so you could hear it. That this pitch can really knock things out of tune. So all you do is just hold a key, and then you kind of turn it up until it's in unison with your key. And here it is off. So it does help bring out some of the high-end transients here. And I actually am going to use this vibrato macro. And so let's go to the next section. I'm going to turn this up a little. Let's go to these tabs over here in the middle. So in the oscillator section, now we're going to turn the rate down just a little bit for the vibrato, and make sure you bump up the vibrato macro. And by turning down the rate slower, it kind of makes it a really subtle effect, and it kind of gives the sound a little bit of movement, so it's less sterile sounding to the ear, which helps. And so now I'm going to go to the voicing tab, and in the voicing tab, we're going to crank the Unisano up to 6, and I'm going to turn the volume on my master down, because every time you turn the Unisano up, it'll jack up the volume, so I've hurt my ears a couple times doing that. All right, and now I'm going to turn on this Unisano spread for the pitch, and I'm just going to bump it a little bit just to give it a little bit of detune. And then I'm going to turn on the pan position, and I'm going to take it to mono. So now it's barely any effect, and I'm just going to turn it to the left a little, which is spreading out some of the voices. If you do too much of that, you can really affect the phase, but just a little bit is kind of a cool way to get some stereo spread going in your sound. So now let's go on to the envelopes, which are pretty important to the sound. So in envelope 1, you're going to turn the attack all the way down, the decay almost all the way down, or just about all the way down, and the level all the way down. I'm going to turn this release up to about halfway. And so you should get this really sharp looking triangle. And we're going to use that to modulate the pitch of oscillator 1 up to positive 48. And then, so I'm going to turn the decay all the way down and let it play, and then I'm going to bring the decay in. So that'd be too much. I just want to add a little bit of interesting content to the attack of the sound, so it would snap through a mix a little bit cleaner and clear. So that's good for envelope 1, and that's all we're going to modulate on that. And now let's go to our second envelope. And in our second envelope, we are going to turn the attack pretty much all the way down, just a hair above 0 maybe. Turn the decay down a little bit past halfway, and the level all the way down. And you can keep the release where it is. So you should kind of get this, if you get the decay right, if you don't touch the release by default, the decay knob will move this line right here. Try to get it near the 0 on one shot to have the right decay. And then you're going to leave it on gate, and you're going to leave it on, you don't want to do linear for this. It would make it too, it would have the decay too long, so it helps to have it short for that key sound. And then to actually introduce that change into the sound, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the Daft filter type on oscillator 1. I'm going to turn this to serial, and then I'm going to turn the cutoff to about halfway. I'm going to turn the resonance down just a little, and I'm going to modulate the cutoff frequency with that second envelope we just made. All right, and now for our fourth envelope, which is tied to the amp mod by default, I am going to turn the attack down a little bit more, turn the decay up to about like 60, 65, 70% around there, turn that level down, and give it a little bit more release. And that will kind of give it almost like a reverb-ish tail going already. And that will pretty much square away the envelope macros, or the envelopes and the macro that we have to do for the envelopes. And so now I'm going to go to the effects section. And in that first slot, I'm going to add the dimension expander to kind of spread out that sound a little bit more. So I'm going to keep the dry wet a little bit under halfway and just boost the size a little. All right, and now I'm going to go to the second FX slot, and I'm going to select the reverb, and I'm going to turn the dry wet down to about 25%. I'm going to turn the size up a little, keep the density at 50%. I'm going to turn the color up so the reverb is a little bit brighter. All right, and now I'm going to activate the EQ, and I'm going to crank up the high shelf a little. And that is pretty much the sound. And I want to mention something that I didn't at the beginning. This would be a great sound to layer with a lead or kind of a filtered like if you're kind of sweeping out some of the filters with an EQ in an EDM track. It would help add some body to it, but it would still keep it minimal enough for like your verse or if there's a singing section. So, and then if I mentioned how you could kind of turn it into a pluck really easily, all you would do is you would add this first envelope to more of the oscillators so you get that kind of pitchy, snappy attack. And then I would just add a little bit of detune, and then you kind of have like an EDM type pluck. All right, so there is the sound, guys. If you have any questions or comments, let me know below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you haven't checked out MassiveSynth.com, head on over there. Tons of cool things, Massive. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.